Welcome back, everyone. It's Not So Radical, and today history is repeating itself. Now, you're probably asking, how is history repeating itself? Well, if you stick with me to the end of the video, I'll explain to you how. Now, Democrat Governor Kate Brown, she introduced a bill that removing the requirement that Oregon students in the class of 2022 to 2024 demonstrate basic proficiency in math, reading, and writing to earn a high school diploma. So basically, you don't have to be literate to earn a high school diploma. Now, this was presented back in May 28th. Now, this article from August 10th, Democrat Governor Kate Brown of Oregon has signed a bill into law that allows students in the state to graduate from high school without having to prove they know how to read, write, or understand math. Now, as a kid leaving high school, that should concern you if your school didn't teach you how to read and write. As a parent, you should be concerned for that your child's future, for just their basic education that they should have started learning back in kindergarten. It's a failure on the politicians in that area. It's a failure on the schooling system in general, and it should be investigated, whether it's a lack of funding or just the teachers or whatever systems they have in place, they are not working. And we need people to be educated. Why? Well, I learned back in, I believe it was middle school or maybe even high school, about a time period in U.S. history. It was a terrible time, but slavery. Now, I remember in slavery, they didn't want slaves to be educated because they had more power over them when they were less educated. So they're like, okay, well, you're talking about education. Okay, maybe I see that. Well, on August 21st, 1831, enslaved Virginian Nat Turner led a bloody revolt which changed the course of American history. The uprising in Southampton County led to the killing of an estimated 55 white people, resulting in execution of 55 black people and the beating of hundreds of others by white mobs. While the rebellion only lasted about 24 hours, it prompted a renewed wave of oppressive legislation prohibiting enslaved people's movement, assembly, and education. I mean, you see it right now. They're hindering education, and when people are uneducated, you usually have more power over them. If you keep people ignorant, not knowing what's going on, as people, we should be questioning our government. Whether people are sticking up for their values, and the establishment doesn't like when you push back against them. And I mean, besides the education factor of them dumbing down people's education over time, we've seen it in enslaved people's movement. All right, so like back in that time, hey, they controlled, where you went, what you did, when you did it, so on and so forth. Like we see with these COVID lockdowns, that hey, you can't go here, you can't do this. You can go to Costco and you can go to bars till 11, or do this or do that, or you can stand outside with 3 people, but you can't do this over here. Well, if you're with your family, you have to wear a mask. They all the time. I mean, that's why I'm saying it's getting even worse, and that's why people are so concerned about losing their rights, because as soon as you lose your rights, it's unbelievably hard to get back, which we've seen in many other countries that wish they had the rights that we had. And let's move on to another part, assembly. Trump, hey, no matter how you feel about him, it was people fed up with the establishment. I mean, minorities in record numbers, both for the 2020 election and 2024 election, came out in record numbers to support Trump. Now, they didn't like, because Trump was anti-establishment. Now, they didn't like Trump, they didn't like his rallies, but then they allowed Black Lives Matter riots and protests, and Kamala Harris even bailed people out, the rioters and protesters, burning down buildings, trying to burn down courthouses, destroying small businesses. But then, people questioning the government and questioning the safety of our election and wanting audits and everything to be rechecked. They didn't want that, and that's why they condemned Trump rallies. They condemn, online, you're getting fact checked if you're a conservative. You're getting fact checked. No, this isn't totally right. That isn't totally right. We don't see any fact checking on the left side of things, but you see, they don't want people talking about or against the government. And we as people should always consider questioning the government, considering where we came from as a country. But all this video, I mean, it's a bunch of food for thought. Obviously, it's just, just one of my theories, but I believe this speaks volumes today and should explain to people and kind of get them thinking that, hey, this isn't in my best interest to keep me dumbed down and not get a proper education. Even all right, so like here, as Clarence Lusain, a professor of political science at Howard University, notes, there was a growing belief that an uneducated enslaved person, an educated enslaved person was a dangerous person. The government doesn't want you questioning what they do. Hey, here's your stimulus check. This and that. Stay home. Don't go out. Don't do this. I'll take care of you. You don't need to know how to read and write. I'll do that for you. I'll take care of everything for you. Don't worry about it. And I want the government to have as little to do in my life as possible. But hey, that's just me. Tell me how y'all feel about this. Let me know your thoughts. Well, like I always say, whether you agree, disagree, I welcome civil discourse. But that'll be it for this week. I'll talk to you guys later.